If you're raising a uniquely wired child, chances are you've asked yourself, do I tell them about their diagnosis or issues? And if so, when and how? Maybe you've worried it could hurt their confidence, or maybe you've hoped it could actually help them in some way. Friend, you're not alone in that tug of war. Today, we're talking about how to approach this conversation with love, honesty, and hope so your child can grow up feeling understood instead of uncertain or ashamed. This is one you won't want to miss. Welcome to Calm Connection Parenting. I'm your host, Jamie Kirkbride, mom of 7, parenting coach, professional counselor, and wrangler of big emotions. If you're raising a highly sensitive child with intense emotions or challenging behaviors and wondering if you'll make it through without losing your mind, you're not alone. Around here, we're all about real-life parenting, sprinkled with a little humor and a whole lot of patience. So grab your coffee, trust me, you'll need it, and join me as we explore tips, stories, and faith-based strategies to help you bring more calm and confidence into your chaotic days. Let's do this. So let's start with the question, should you even tell your child? Well, in most situations, I believe the answer is probably yes. And that comes with some caveats, of course, and some deeper understanding. When kids know about their unique wiring, it can give them a sense of strength. They have time to grow into it in the self-awareness, time to adjust to what that might mean to them, and even time to begin seeing it as something that makes them strong and beautifully unique. It can help them develop personal insights so they can build their own sense of identity with your love and encouragement guiding them along the way. Talking about their unique wiring also helps them learn how to communicate who they are and what they need. It gives them a language for learning how to advocate for themselves, and it can help them see how the right supports can really help them be more successful. Instead of feeling like they're broken or that something's wrong with them, they can begin to understand that their brain just works differently and that it is something that can be understood and celebrated. In addition, it can allow kids to take time to learn how to take care of themselves and do what's best for their bodies and their emotional needs. This might include learning how to take medications, building in some space and quiet, and maybe even how to follow up with the medical or counseling professionals that can be a support. And this can help break down some of that stigma that is oftentimes associated. Well, this may lead you to wonder, what do I tell them? Sometimes what you share is simply an awareness of their unique differences or some of the challenges they might be experiencing. And sometimes you may share specific labels or issues with them. How much you say depends a lot on your child's age, their ability to understand or process, their maturity, and even the complexity of the issue. You can always begin with conversations about wiring, differences, strengths, and then just add more details as they get older. But here's an important note of caution. Before you open this door to discuss your child's issues or wiring with them, I urge you to take time to process this information fully yourself. Yes, work through your own feelings, fears, worries, and even for some, the grief that exists for you. The more you have made peace with it, the better you can share it in a way that will feel empowering and helpful. And here's the part that's really important. You know your child better than anyone. You already have a sense of how much they notice about themselves, how aware they are of their differences and wiring, and how much they can really process and understand. you also know what feels age appropriate or even developmentally appropriate for where they're at. And keep in mind that many neurodiverse children may be experiencing a discrepancy in their emotional maturity compared to the peers of the same age. That's right. In fact, for many neurodiverse children, it can be as much as 3 to 4 years difference. So adjust what you share according to your child's needs and maturity. And yes, you might even pray that God will give you wisdom to know and discern what to share with them and how. Trust your insight. It is one of your greatest parenting tools. Now, once you've decided that your child needs to know about their unique wiring, the next question is when? And the truth is, there really isn't a perfect age or a magic milestone. Every child is different. What matters most is paying attention to the signals your child is probably already giving you that they need or are ready for more understanding. In fact, it might be helpful to know some of the signs you might notice. Maybe they start asking questions like, why is this so hard for me? Or why am I different from the other kids? They may notice differences between themselves and siblings or friends and say things like, why can't I do this like they can? They feel like they're always getting in trouble or that people are always mad at them. Maybe they show frustration with tasks that come easily for others. Things like staying focused, following directions, controlling their emotions, completing projects, or keeping up. They may talk about feeling left out, misunderstood, or struggling in social settings or with friendships. They may even make negative comments about themselves that show some self-doubt or even shame and embarrassment. These moments are cues. They're telling you, even if indirectly, that they're ready or that they need some explanation and reassurance. I remember when my own son was in about second grade, which is a common age for some of these things to start showing up more. He was starting to struggle with the demands in the classroom, and we noticed he was having some behavior issues as well. And those behavior issues were coming about more often than in the prior years. It was wearing on him, and he was upset about always being in trouble. At the same time, we also began noticing more conflict with his siblings. His emotions looked so different from theirs, and you could see the tension was increasing. That was our signal that we needed to start giving not only him, but also his brothers and sisters some language for what was happening. At first, we had separate conversations with him and them to begin the conversations. We began by explaining that his emotions get really hot really fast, and we mentioned that sometimes his brain acted quickly, maybe even before he had time to think things through or slow down. But that gave all of us a way to understand what was happening. And it helped us start talking about how to handle those big emotions or quick actions a little better. That conversation opened the door for more awareness and more compassion, not just for him, but for the whole family. The key is this: it doesn't have to be a big, heavy, sit-down conversation that's uncomfortable. And it's not a one-time talk. It's about planting seeds. You share a little, answer a question, offer some reassurance, and then maybe come back to it later. Each time you revisit it, you're adding another layer of understanding. Over time, your child grows into that understanding with you guiding them, supporting them, and helping them see that their wiring is something that can be understood and embraced. These are not discussions where you hold it over their head or refer to it in a negative manner, but rather ways to help them become accustomed to how their brain works, thinks and sometimes responds, and also how they can learn to manage it well. So if you've noticed those signals in your child, that may be the nudge that it's time for you to start opening up those conversations about their unique wiring. Maybe you're feeling like you're needing a better understanding in order to even do that. Well, don't worry, I've got you. I want to take just a quick break to tell you about the Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program that can equip you to do just that. Are your child's emotions and challenging behaviors pushing you to the edge? You're not alone. From constant struggles to emotional outbursts, it's easy to feel like you're just one step away from chaos. But what if I told you there's a better way? In the Calm Connection program, you'll get access to a video course, workbooks, and a supportive community to learn practical, faith-based strategies for handling even the toughest of behaviors. But the best part, you get weekly coaching calls with me, where we can explore your child or family's specific struggles and work together for some solutions. If you're tired of trying methods that just don't work, or you feel like you don't have time to add one more thing to your plate, don't worry. This program was designed to fit into a busy parent's life and give you real solutions with some quick wins too. Ready to take the first step toward a calmer home? Visit calmconnectionparent.com and learn more about the Calm Connection Coaching Program. You've got this, and I'm here to support you. All right, let's get back to our conversation. We've talked about if you share, what you share, and when the right time might be to share. But now let's look at the practical side. How do you actually start this conversation in a way that is simple, encouraging, and empowering for your child? Well, let's talk about this conversation. And remember, it doesn't have to feel big or scary. The goal is to keep it age appropriate, affirming, and this is key, ongoing. Here are some practical ways that you might start. First, use simple, clear language. You might say, your brain works in a special way that helps you notice things others might miss, but sometimes that makes it harder to focus. Or you might say something like, sometimes your brain feels things really fast, which can be good. But when those big feelings get big fast, it takes some work to control those feelings. Focus on strengths first. For example, you are amazing at being creative and noticing things others don't. And sometimes your brain gets stuck on those details and it can make it harder to move on. Both of those things are part of who you are. Normalize those differences. Help them understand that everyone's brain works differently. You might compare it to some of the easy to understand examples, such as people needing glasses to see better, needing braces to straighten teeth, using a wheelchair if they can't walk. Differences aren't bad. They just mean we use different tools to help us out with what we need. I encourage you to use social stories. Books can be a great way to introduce some of these differences or issues. Reading about it and how it relates to someone else is a non-threatening way to break the ice and build your child's awareness of some of these difficult things. It can also spark some healthy and helpful conversation. You can ask questions to gauge their understanding, insight, or reflection, and they can ask questions to find out more if needed. Give them words for self-advocacy. That's right, teach them to ask for what they need, which might include learning to say things like, "Can I have a little bit of space?" Or, "Can you give me just one direction at a time?" Or, "I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now." These small phrases help them start practicing how to communicate their needs. And come back to it often. Don't feel the pressure to say everything all at once. Think of it as an ongoing conversation. for better understanding and connection. You are leaving these little stepping stones along the way. You share a piece here, a little more later, and over time they have a pathway of understanding that they know they can walk with you. And one more important piece, as you're talking, pay attention to your child's signals. Some kids will want to ask a lot of questions right away. Others might shrug and move on, only to circle back days later. That's all okay. That's all normal. Let them set the pace and be ready to listen more than you talk. So read their cues and adjust the conversation to fit their needs. As you keep having these conversations over time, something amazing is going to begin to happen. Your child will begin to pick up pieces of their own story and build their sense of self around it. I know in our own family, I watched this unfold slowly. We shared in simple ways when our child was younger. We helped him with different therapies like occupational therapy, physical therapy, some supports at school, where we discussed the issues and we grew in better understanding together. And we answered his questions as he got older. Each step gave him a little more language, a little more understanding, and a little more confidence. Then one day, I remember it so clearly, he looked at me and announced, "Well, I'm ready to tell the world." I wasn't exactly sure what he meant, so I asked, and he answered with utmost confidence, "Well, I'm ready to tell the world about my ADHD." That moment was huge. It was a turning point in his journey of self-awareness and acceptance. He wasn't ashamed. He was proud. He had grown into a place where he saw his wiring as part of who he was, and he felt strong enough to share it with others, or as he put it, the whole world. Honestly, it was a turning point for me too, because as parents, we want to protect our kids' privacy and respect their journey. But in that moment, I realized that his courage gave me the freedom to use our journey to encourage, educate, and support other parents and families that were in similar places. And that's the beauty of this process. When we start early, when we give our kids the language to use, and when we walk alongside them with love and patience, they can grow into their own healthy self-awareness and acceptance. They can even reach that acceptance that can bring freedom and not shame. Does that mean that our son has never struggled with his wiring or issues? No. There are days that it's hard. There are days that it feels really unfair. There are days that he sheds some tears about it. And I might even shed a few in those quiet moments alone. But through it all, we've built a foundation for understanding, acceptance, and hopefully a strong sense that his wiring has some pretty wonderful aspects too. So let's bring this full circle. If you're a parent who has wrestled with the tug of war, if, what, and when, and how to talk with your child about their unique wiring, I want you to hear this. You are not alone. Every parent of a uniquely wired child wonders about these questions, and there are no perfect answers. But here's what I hope you take away today. When you give your child words for who they are, when you share gently and consistently, when you walk beside them instead of letting them struggle and wonder on their own, you are planting seeds for resilience. Over time, those seeds grow into confidence, self-awareness, and the ability to see their wiring as a strength and not a flaw. Yes, there will still be hard days. Yes, you and your child may still wrestle with this wiring, just like my son has at different points in our toughest seasons. But the ongoing conversation you begin now creates a foundation of understanding, respect, and deep love. It sets the stage for them to one day say with confidence, "This is who I am, and I'm not ashamed." And friend, that's the goal. Not perfection, not a life free of challenges, but a child who knows they're deeply loved, wonderfully made, and uniquely equipped for their special purpose and journey. Next week, I want to give you a tool that can help you keep having these conversations in a way that your child can picture and understand. Yep, we're going to be talking about the idea of a fancy, fast car. Kind of a story that helps kids and parents make sense of traits like impulsivity, intensity, meltdowns, and more. It's one of my favorite ways to describe the ups and downs of emotional intensity, and I think it will give you the language that you can start using right away with your child. You won't want to miss it, so be sure to be back here next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Just remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in this together. Take a deep breath and keep building those heart-to-heart connections. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need it too. And don't forget to connect with us at parentingwithpersonality.com or in our Parenting with Personality Facebook support group. We'd love to continue supporting you there. Until next time, keep calm and parent on.